Portland Motor Speedway. They're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars.
And we are live on the Coast to Coast. Excuse me, if you watched the show last night, you know my throat was feeling it at the end, but feeling a little better today here, but let's give that one more time here. You're live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network for Thursday Night Thunder, presented by Extreme E-Speed TV. And first on the night, your Full Throttle Motorsports and Venom Racing 358 Modifieds here at the I-55 Raceway. And this track always puts on good racing. It seems to want to develop two brews here as the Brewerton Beast. He shows up. We're going to have 25 guys. That means we're going to have a B main tonight. That's why I announced his arrival. I just saw him pop up on the live timing page. So we will have a B main here in the 358s. Looking like so far only one driver going home, but you don't want to be that one driver. You want to qualify well. You want to put yourself in a good spot to advance here in the show. Is 100 grand Joseph Grandy rolling around in the 518. He's always in contention for the win here. You got to think if Grandy's out here running, he's got a chance to bring home the checkered flag. As well, you know, sometimes we got to fix things on the fly, and we're going to have a long night here. I clicked the wrong button. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. I normally like this camera a little more zoomed out so I can see the racing action a little better. Make that look all pretty. We'll save it because, well, obviously we want it in the big blocks. And then we're going to make that disappear and look all nice as checkered flag waves, and we're going to get ready to roll into qualifying here at the I-55 Raceway. Getting a little darker here. You see the track changing a little bit. And let's see who pulls out on the racetrack first here. Looking like it is going to be Scott Rayom. The man we had is the 444 ripping around, goes down the backstretch. What kind of time can the 444 of Scott Rayom put in on lap number 1? Well, I may have to do another little quick camera edit here after this qualifying. This is the one that's supposed to change here, but hey, it's not changing as Scott Rayom comes in P7. Michael Vitale in the 213. He's currently on the pole. What's the 213 gonna do? Can he get faster? Doesn't need to. Still quick time. As drivers start to finish up their laps here. Clay Christopherson on his second and final trip around. What can the 51 do? As Clay Christopherson, P11. Oh, Sam Bachman stole it there when I wasn't looking. Sam Bachman in the 007, your current point leader. He takes quick time, and, well, now I know why the cameras weren't changing, you dummy. You never turned them off. So, newcomer here for Shaggy, Mike Brewer in the 390. Let's see what Mike does here. Final lap, not going to improve, and Mike Brewer going to stay P11, but nice looking paint job for the 390. That's going to be a real eye catcher. Rolling around as qualifying comes to a close, and just like that, we're going to get ready for heat race number 1. Starting on the inside of row number 4 in the 98, that's Michael Farmer. Row number 3 on the top shelf, the 099 of Glenn Sharp. And to his inside, the 9 of Brian Lawson. Row number 2 to the high side, your point leader and pole winner, the 007 of Sam Bachman. And to his inside, Mr. Wednesday Night, Brian Moore Sr. Row number 1 for heat race number 1 here at the I-55 Raceway. Soupy Dan McLaren on the top shelf. And to his inside, the 051 of Putt Putt, Clay Christopherson. The Steve King Foundation pace car pulls off, the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 1 underway as the small blocks get ready to play. Dan McLaren trying to battle back, but here's the battle for second. They were 3 wide. Contact between Sam Bachman and the 88, but they lived the race on as the 055 of Brian Moore Sr. tries to put up a fight on the inside. Really hooking up that 055. Oh, little neck code contact. The 055 and the point leader, Sam Bachman, falls back. And just like that, Sammy's going to have to shake it off and go back to work. As 5 more trips around for Clay Christopherson. As Dan McLaren inches ever so closer to that 051. He looks to the inside through 3 and 4. Big run off the top for Clay Christopherson, and Dan's got to go back to work here as Brian Lawson losing touch with the front 3. He's trying to figure something out too. Going to run the middle through 1 and 2, but Brian Moore Sr. got a hot rod down low. It's a lane no one else is really using, and he's able to float up and take that grip coming off the corner. He's a lot quicker, but you see he pulls to the inside of the 88 of Dan McLaren, and just like that, nothing he can do is racing hard, coming around. White flag waves, 1 more trip around for the 051. He goes down the backstretch. Clay Christopherson, no stranger to winning races. Definitely no stranger to starting up front in the feature, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He wins heat race number 1, followed by Dan McLaren, Brian Moore Sr., Brian Lawson, Glenn Sharp, Sam Bachman, and Michael Farmer. Never made the call. As we get ready, heat race number 2. Gonna have 4 heat races here, I'd imagine. Looking like it. In row number 3 on the outside, the 81 of Mike Weida, and to his inside, the 93 of Butters, Jason Butterfield. Row number 2 on the high side, the 213 of Michael Vitale, and to his inside, the 518 of 100 grand, Joseph Grandy. Row number 1 for heat race number 2, to the outside, the 110 of Kelly Wheeler, and to his inside, the 122 of Brian Dickens. This heat race number 2 set to get underway. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Brian Dickens drops the hammer on that pink machine, and he rolls the bottom through 1 and 2. Can he get the run and close off in front of Kelly Wheeler? He does. Kelly tries to come back down. Joseph's there. Oh, man, that was a close call. Contact twice, 3 times through 1 and 2. The 518 finally lets him gather it up, but now Joe's going to lose 2 spots here as Mike Weida and Michael Vitale roll around the outside. 122 of Brian Dickens, looking to see 5 to go here this time. As you see the full palm in the air, battle heating up for 4th. Joseph Grandy wants in that final transfer spot. It looks like he's going to get it, maybe not. Mike Weida fighting back strong on the outside. A little contact halfway, 4 to go. Joseph able to shut the door this time, and now can the 518 make a run at Michael Vitale. Running out of time, 3 laps to go as Brian Dickens clear track out front. Just looking to bring this thing home. 2 more trips around. Michael Vitale trying to look to the inside of Kelly Wheeler, but he's got some company. Joseph Grandy took a peek through 1 and 2. Single file. As we go through 3 and 4, white flag waves 1 more time around. Brian Dickens, he's won already once this season, trying to make it number 2, as he's going to win heat race number 2. He's going to start on the outside of the front row for tonight's feature. Kelly Wheeler, Michael Vitale, and Joseph Grandy to the show. Mike Weida and Jason Butterfield to the B main. We take a look at heat race number 3, row number 3 on the outside. The 218 of Superman, Kurt Schatzer, into his inside, the 4 of Greg Parmalee. The Spider Monkey in the 83 rolls off on the outside of row number 2. That's Brandon Dittmer, into his inside, the 89 of Mason, hit him with the hind. Row number 1 for heat race number 3 on the high side, the 390 of Mike Brewer, into his inside, the 444 of Scott Rayone. Scott Rayome and Mike Brewer set to drop the hammer here. Final time through 3 and 4 as we see the Steve King Foundation pace car pull off. The green flag's high, it's ready to fly. Heat race number 3 is underway. Good run there for Scott Rayone. Mike's gonna wish he got a better run through the middle as we update the graphics. My apologies. Mason Hine to the inside, looking to battle for P2 here in heat race number 3. Mason trying to fight hard, but Mike's got other visions in his mind. He looks to the inside of the 4. He's trying to battle back for the win here in heat race number 3. Right on that inside wall, as low as he can go, battle to the line, give it to Scott Rayome, but with 5 laps to go, Who's going to win this battle as they battle hard in the back? The Spider Monkey trying to find a way around. He goes to the inside. He can't get a 2-for-1. Oh, contact between Parmalee and Schatzer. Maybe he can get a 2-for-1 as Schatzer looks back to the inside. Battle back on for the lead as Mike Brewer gets into the inside wall as he enters turn 3. He's got to go back to work now. He's got to shake it off. Mason Hine looking to the top shelf. Kurt Schatzer was able to get back in front of the Spider Monkey, but here as they come to 2 to go, Brandon Dittmer looks back to the inside and just can't get the run as Mike Brewer looking back one more time as they roll through 3 and 4. White flag high, one more trip around. Can Mike find a way to get it done on the insiders? Scott Rayone too strong on that top shelf. Final time through 3 and 4. Mike Brewer can't get it done. It's Scott Rayone wins heat race number 3. Mike Brewer P2, Mason Hine 3rd, and your 4th and final transfer, Superman Kurt Schatzer. Brandon Dittmer and Greg Parmalee round out the field. As we get ready for your 4th and final heat race here for the 358 Modifieds, presented by Full Throttle Motorsports and the Venom Racing Team. Row number 3 on the outside, the Canadian Alex Pomerleau. And to his inside, the 21 of Blackjack, John Tobias. Row number 2 to the high side, the 32 of the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano. And to his inside, the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux. Row number 1 for your 4th and final heat race. Got a set of Can-Am Racing teammates. To the outside, the Brewerton Beast, Jeff Barker. And to his inside, the 7 of Bob DeGood. Pace through 3 and 4 for the final time. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 4 drivers punch their ticket. Final heat race. Let's roll. Bob DeGood tries to get in front of his teammate in the 513. Is Jeff going to allow it to happen? The answer is yes. No choice as the Philly Flyer looking to go to the inside with 3 wide for second. Anthony Morano tries to get in front of the 513. Able to do so as John Tobias in that 3 machine. Supposed to be at 21, looking like the 3 to me. Looking to battle here to get his way into that top 4 transfers. New leader. Contact between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Bob DeGood, Jeff Barker, and Anthony Morano all get to keep rolling, but Jeff Barker really going to pay the price. The Brewerton Beast falling off the horse. Anthony really close to the Philly Flyer. Can Trevor hold up? Is Anthony going to prove to be too much? Both drivers up 2 spots from the start as we're halfway. Hiccup for the 75 through 3 and 4 slides up, but Anthony can't capitalize. Can he do it this time as he gets a run off of 2? The answer is no. Oh, wrong guy. We want to go in the Ant-Man here. Let's see what it looks like. 2 more laps to go. So he just gets that run center off. Can't think about sending it this time, though, as Trevor shuts the door. Gonna hold the middle. Look at the battle for 3rd. Teammates side by side as the white flag flies. Anthony Morano looking for one final move, but he's not gonna find it as we roll out of 4. Trevor Giroux is going to win heat race number 4, followed by Anthony Morano, Bob DeGood, Jeff Barker, Alex Pomerleau, and John Tobias. As we're going to run a B-main here, not sure if Michael Farmer will make the grid. He missed his call for the heat race. And the only reason I say that, personally, I don't care. Mike's allowed to do whatever he wants. But if Mike doesn't show up, we're going to have our 8 drivers already gridded. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in 9th, Michael Farmer in the 98. Outside of row number 4, Blackjack, John Tobias. And to his inside, the 4 of Greg Parmalee. Butters, Jason Butterfield lines up on the outside of row number 3. And to his inside, the 007 of James Bond, Sam Bachman. Alex Pomerleau lines up on the outside of row number 2. He's in the 397. And is inside the 83 of the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer. Row number 1 for your B main to the outside, the 81 of Mike Weida, and to his inside, the 099 of Glenn Sharp. No call for Michael Farmer. You see 8 cars on the racetrack. These are the 8 going to the show. Just got to behave. You don't want to make any enemies out here. You just want to get through this thing. 10 laps to play. We're underway at I-55 Raceway. Mike trying to get a good run on the outside. The Canadian Alex Pomerleau looking at 3 wide out the front mirrors. Look at Glenn Sharp. He gets into Mike Weida, and just like that, we got a new leader here in the B main. 9 laps to go. Weida may not be too happy about that, but hey, you're in the show. You just got to cool the jets here. Shake it off and go back to work as the 83 is the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer. Able to slot in line. You're seeing how valuable that top shelf is right now. I think that's where drivers are going to want to be here early in the feature, unless they beat the heck out of the track here through warm-ups. We may see that top shelf start to come into play. As Glenn Sharp rolls that middle high, and he's looking good in the 99. Greg Parmalee, he had a little hiccup. He's already off the racetrack, but with Michael Farmer not making the call, all he needed was 1 lap to get in the show, and he's going to be in. Seeing Blackjack try to run down the 007. Sam Bachman, he's got a quick car. He always does, but you got to make it easier on yourself. You got to get some guys here in the B main. You don't want to put all that on you here in the feature, as we got a battle for the lead with 4 laps to go. 3 to go this time, coming out of 4 as the Canadian thinks about throwing a slide job. Couldn't do it in 3 and 4. Contact between Butters and Glenn Sharp. Glenn then gets contact from the 21. As Glenn Sharp was up front, all of a sudden he was forced to pack the suitcase there and head to the back of the field. Tough break for Glenn Sharp. Brandon Dittmer moving in, trying to strike, get in the top 2 here. White flag waves, 1 more trip around. The Canadian Alex Pomerleau started 4th looking to win this B main, but so is Jason Butterfield. Final time through 3 and 4. Butters takes a peek. Not going to be enough. Alex Pomerleau wins the B main. Butters, Dittmer, Bachman, Weida, Tobias, Sharp, and Parmalee to the A main. As we're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we'll be right back with your A main here in the 358 Modified. Stick around. And we're back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. I'm Zach Chapman here with Shaggy TV, ready to bring you the Full Throttle Motorsports Venom Racing 358 Modifieds here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as our 24-car feature set to get underway. Let's take a look here at the starting lineup for tonight's 30-lap feature at the I-55 Raceway. Starting on the outside of row number 12 in the 4, Greg Parmalee, into his inside, the 099 of Glenn Sharp. Row number 11 on the high side, the 21 of John DeBias, into his inside, the 81 of Mike Weida. Row number 10, James Bond, 007 on the top shelf, and the Spider Monkey of Brandon Dittmer to his inside. Row number 9, the 93 of Jason Butterfield, and to his inside, the Canadian Alex Pomerleau. On the top shelf of row number 8, the 513 of the Brewerton Beast, Jeff Parker, and to his inside, the 218 of Superman, Kurt Schatzer. Row number 7 on the high side, the 518 of 100 Grand, Joseph Grandy, and to his inside, the 9 of Brian Lawson. Row number 6 to the high side, the 7 of Bob DeGood, and to his inside, the 89 of Mason Hine. Row number 5 on the top shelf, the 213 of Michael Vitale, and to his inside, the 055 of Mr. Wednesday Night, Brian Moore Sr. Row number 4 on the high side, the 32 of the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano, and to his inside, the 390 of Mike Brewer. Row number 3, the 110 of Kelly Wheeler on the top shelf, and to his inside, the 88 of Dan McLaren. Row number 2, the Philly Flyer in the 075 on the high side, and to his inside, the 444 of Scott Rayone. Row number 1 for your 358 Modified feature on the high side, the 122 of Brian Dickens. And starting on the pole, the 051 of Putt Putt, Clay Christopherson. 30 laps set to get underway as we roll through 3 and 4 for the final time. The Steve King Foundation pace car is off. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 30 laps to play in the Clayton I-55. We're underway. Clay Christopherson with a big send on the bottom through 1 and 2. Too much. Brian Dickens takes advantage, and we have a new leader out front. The 122 looking to score his second win of the year here. Can Brian Dickens pull away out front? Or did he blow it a little bit too early? The battle rages on behind. Scott Rayum able to hold on to third, but Trevor Giroux in that 075 looking to get it done upstairs. Oh, there's contact. Anthony Morano involved. Dan McLaren involved. Parking lot on the backstretch. The point leader on his side. Oh, Sam Bachman, not what you want to see there for the 007. Can the point leader get some help? The answer is no. Not able to roll back over. Caution flag waves. We kind of saw the beginning of it break out there. I believe it started with the 32 of Anthony Morano. Him and Dan McLaren racing awfully close. Let's go up top. See, Anthony pushes up the racetrack a little bit. Dan just barely there. And hard contact. The 88 gets in, goes around. Anthony gets some more help. And you see, just wrecking all over the racetrack here. But 2 cars fighting over the same real estate early on in the race. It can happen, and, well, co-sponsors of the 358s getting into it with each other. Long way to go here. As the lights, I think they disappeared there and went off. We'll see here as they roll around for the second time. As the lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace car, drivers doubled up, and we're going to set get set to go back racing this time. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 27 laps to play. His good jump from Brian Dickens. He learned from the early mistake, but didn't learn well enough. Opened up the door, and here comes Putt Putt, looking to take over the lead here in the early stages. Brian Dickens comes down, shuts the door, but Clay gonna stay strong. He floats back up side by side. These guys fighting tooth and nail. I have to bring up iRacing here because I edited some cameras, forgot to click F12. That's why they weren't rotating. We're back to normal. 3 wide for the lead. Scott Rayome to the inside, his teammate in the middle. Brian Dickens trying to make it work. Clay floats up, caution flag flies. For the second time here at I-55, Glenn Sharp involved in his first caution, and I believe Dan McLaren sucked up into another one here. Let's see, John Tobias in the outside wall in front. Some drivers checking up. Glenn's going to check up a little late. Dan gets into the back of him, and he goes around, and that's going to be our second caution of the night here at I-55. Sorry I'm not as chatty as normal. Trying to put on a good act here, but man, throat's feeling it a little bit. So under caution, I'm trying to calm down a little bit here because we got a long night ahead of us. As the lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace car, and we'll get ready to go this time. A lot of people out there watching too. If you're out there watching, I see Arlen, Barry Wallace, Gary Siegelkow. Let us know who you're rooting for. As the green flag is high, it's ready to fly. 23 laps to go at I-55. Clay Christopherson with a good jump. Scott Rayome trying to take advantage here. Stay in front of the 122 of Brian Dickens. Gets into the back of his teammate. Brian Dickens takes P2 over at the line. 3 wide behind, Mike Brewer in the middle. He's getting forced up. He's got a brake check, and I'll tell you what, move of the race there from that 390. If we see this guy on the podium later, that's what it was all about. He got sandwiched in the middle, 3 wide. Unlike a lot of other people I've seen throughout the weeks, gets in the brakes, lives the race another day, and now that 390 going to take a peek back downstairs, try to get some spots back. As Brian Dickens, he finally completes the pass for P2. Not easy to complete it here and get it done, but we're seeing cars milk the bottom and really find some speed. But Clay Christopherson, a driver we normally see do that, he's finding his success here in the middle. The 051 leading the way out front, just riding around in the slick. It's Jason Butterfield. He's on the move. Started 18th up to 11th. He gets a shot from the Spider Monkey. The 93 holds onto it. He's still a little squirrely. He tries to keep rolling as the rest of the field trying to check up. But man, Butters, as soon as we highlight him, he's going to lose 3, maybe 4 spots. Tough break for the 93. Is the Spider Monkey, I think, going to do his best to allow him to get back in line. But Brandon Dittmer doesn't want to lose any more spots than he needs to. Trevor Giroux taking a look on the inside here, looking for that 3rd and final podium spot. Can the 075 get a run? The answer is no. Really slow out of 4. And man, if you find yourself bound up on the bottom, definitely not the place you want to be. You see that RSN trackside 75. Just searching. He needs to find a way around. And Brian Dickens, he made the mistake on the restart. He gave up the bottom. It cost him. Now he looks to the inside as he fights back. Caution flag flies for the 3rd time. I am not too sure who we're going to blame on this caution. I believe it's maybe John pulling out on the racetrack slow. iRacing just didn't like that. Yeah, the slow entry, and that's the caution. You can see no other cars around. That's why I was pausing there for a little bit. Normally the software will give me a big red square telling me somebody who did bad and, well, misbehaved a little bit, but didn't get that this time, so iRacing just not happy with the pace in which he pulled off the racetrack. We got Ron out there rooting for Brewer. We got a Mike Brewer fan out there. I'll tell you what, man, Mike, he's made the moves to keep himself in this thing, and when a broadcaster sees a guy racing smart like that, he automatically becomes a favorite. We're rooting for Mike as well. 13 to go as Clay drops the hammer. We're back underway at I-55. Can Brian Dickens find a way to take a peek back down on the bottom, or does Clay learned his lesson here? Going to shut the door a little lower. First guy up on that top shelf, his fan favorite, Mike Brewer. We got a car around in the back, Dan McLaren. Believe may have looped it around twice there in the 88. Man, oh man. It is a night to forget for the 88, or it may have actually been the 89 the first time, and Dan's the second one. As similar numbers, let's see. Okay, so it is just that yellow number got me. So he loops around, gets Dan, and Dan goes around. So 88 and 89 getting very intimate there through 3 and 4. And gonna go around Mason, maybe not so happy. There was someone speeding up to maybe wave hello to, but we're still pacing under caution here at the I-55 Raceway. Should have 11 laps to go when we do go back to green flag. As the lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace car, and we'll be set to go back green this time. Single file restarts from here on out. As the green flag is high, we're back underway. Clay Christopherson drops the hammer, 11 laps to play. Dickens with a good run here. He's nice, checked up, almost cost him P2. Scott could have looked to the inside, and that's where, man, oh man, that's really hard to do if you're Brian Dickens. You got teammates in front and behind you. You don't want to check up and help the other one out. So, boy, oh boy, Scott Rayone peeking to the outside. We got a battle for P2 as here comes the Philly Flyer. Trevor Giroux trying to beat the wall down in the 75. Make some room, he says, as they battle in front. Brian Dickens to the inside, Scott Rayome in the middle. Scott's just turning better momentum there, and he does finish the pass. Brian Dickens may see the writing on the wall. No, he goes right back downstairs, and he's going to leave it open, but boy, he shut it real quick. Going down the front stretch, can Trevor peek his nose to the outside? Not just yet. As we look back here in the back, remember that 007, he was on his side, rolled over. He's trying to work his way back on up into 12th for now, able to edge in front of the 7 of Bob DeGood. Can he get one more? Towards the front, Trevor Giroux still looking for that third and final podium spot, just not having much success on that top shelf, getting into the wall. A little too much is that 075, and not able to take advantage of that momentum center off. You see, he's just got to turn the car, and he's fighting it to re-straighten it. Is Mike Brewer holding on to that top 5, slowly inching closer as he looks down low under the 075. Not enough room for a slide job. He falls back in line. 2 laps to go for your leader in the 051. Clay Christopherson, I told you, no stranger to victory lane. And if we stay clean through 3 and 4, we're going to see the white flag wave, and Clay Christopherson a little over a quarter of a mile till he brings home one more. Final time down the backstretch. The 051 of Putt Putt gonna take home another feature win here at I-55. Scott Rayome and Brian Dickens round out your podium. Trevor Giroux and Mike Brewer, your top 5 is, man, oh man, it got racy there once the boys behaved, and we were treated to a good finish, but Clay Christopherson, proven to be too much, brings home what I believe. You know what? I got it to my side. Let's just look. I was going to say his second win of the year, and I would have shorted him. Race win number 3 for the 051 of Clay Christopherson as he puts on another dominating race here in the 358 modifieds and inches that much closer to his teammate Sam Bachman, who had a, 37-point lead over the rest of the field. And with a tough run, Brian Dickens was the man in P2, Clay Christopherson third. It really inched the points that much closer. But let's see if we can get a word here with our third place finisher, the 122 of Brian Dickens. Not there just yet here, so we'll give him a second or two. As Brian inches his way on up here, and we'll pull up the 122. Hey, Brian, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a coffee?
Yeah, buddy, I got you.
Well, there was a time in this race when I would have been shocked if you told me the 122 wasn't going to win this thing, man. You were really quick in that center stage of the race, but it just seemed like at the end the bottom started to fade away, and you just really couldn't find the grip down there to finish the pass.
I mean, honestly, I got out of rhythm after that caution. It's so hard when that track's as dry slick as it is, and you got to hit the line just perfect to get the right speed. And I lost that rhythm. I started getting it back with about 5 to go, but that's all I had.
Yeah, without taking shade at anyone, I try to do this nice, Brian, but you clearly were. I mean, you were pushing the pace, dude. You were all over him, but it just seems like at a racetrack like this, and now, correct me if I'm wrong, unless you're going to move the guy out of the way there, even when you're quicker, you're almost waiting for him to make a mistake and maybe slide up a little too much in the middle of the corner because, dude, you were all but there. You could have changed his shorts for him. You were right in his pocket the whole time.
Yeah, I was having a blast, man. Like I said, I was in that rhythm and catching that perfect line. This track, when it's dry slick right like this, is, I don't know, if you're off any little bit, you'll lose a tenth every lap. But yeah, I was there. I really hated to see the caution because after I don't know, I just didn't get it quite back together till about 5 to go.
Yeah, and you're the first guy, Brian. You're one of the nicest guys out there. You're not going to wish it on anybody, but tough night here for the point leader, Sam Bachman. And that opens the door right there for you and Clay to get back in this thing. And I'm excited to see what they look like here when they're updated at the end of the night. But great run, Brian. Got a good season going, man. Halfway here. Maybe talking to a future champion, but congratulations on the P3, man. Who you want to thank?
Thank you, man. It's actually the first time I've ever really tried to run for the points, but I'm having a fun time with it. Want to thank Dirt Track Bank for everything they do for us, our team, our league, everybody in dirt racing, period. Hammer Down Racing, the guys I started racing dirt with and still with, Kurt, Joe, and BT. On Edge Racing, that's my asphalt guys I run with mostly. Some of those guys over here now. Clay on the Win, Coast to Coast for everything they do. It's a great place to race. Having a blast. And you, Shaggy, on the broadcast.
Well, hey, man, it shows you're having fun out there. I don't care what anybody says. The more fun you have, the better you race. And you're driving that 122 up to the front every week, man. It shows how much fun you're having. Congratulations, and I look forward to a lot more of these, Brian.
Thanks, buddy.
That's your third place finisher, Brian Dickens. And now we bring up the man able to bring home P2, but Scott, it was exciting there for a little bit. I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but you give your teammate a little love tap in 3 and 4. You got to get out of the gas, and all of a sudden you fall back to P3. And man, you had to work hard to get back around Brian. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, I mean, Clay had to check up there. Obviously, there's a little bit of contact in front of him, so he got out of the gas, and I got into the back of him a little bit, so I had to back out, and that bunched us all back up, pushed me back to third. But this is one of the places where I'm the most comfortable, and I knew eventually that lane, half a lane up from where Brian was running, was going to be there. Just had to time it right to be able to wait for Brian maybe to slip up just a little bit down lower, and able to get to his outside and power on by him. But it wasn't easy, that's for sure. It was a struggle.
No, and I mean, let's not throwing anybody under the bus here again, but Scott, when you're going to make that move to the outside, I mean, how much trust do you got to have on that guy in front of you, to stay true to the line and not look up in that mirror, man, and let you race, because sometimes that's too little tough sometimes.
Well, I mean, Brian and I have raced each other pretty hard recently, so I mean, if he's gonna come up, put me up into the wall, he's the one that's gonna look bad on that case there. I mean, luckily he didn't, and I respect him for that. So, yeah, I mean, it's just do or die. If you want to move up, you got to make the moves. Can't live scared. So I figured I had that little bit of a run on him, get to his outside, and hope for the best.
Nah, man, and that's exactly what you did. You did what you needed to do, and man, you park FTM 1-2 at the end of this thing. Congratulations, Scott. Hell of a run tonight, man. Who you want to thank?
Well, we're going to have some fun with it this time, because we're having some fun over in Discord about, always having the same boring interviews over and over again. So first and foremost, I got to thank Anthony's wife, Sherry, for letting him come out and play with us. He usually doesn't get permission very often. So then I got to thank Dino's girlfriend, Megan, for always being my biggest fan. She's just kidding herself, really, by cheering on Dino. I was going to thank Sam's mom, but that joke's played out, so I'm not going to thank her. And all the other guys over at FTM for playing along. Dean at Super Dirt Car. DJ Sim Shop for his help on the wraps. Gunner at Swan Speed Shop. He's really been working hard to get us to dig. Let's see, who else? Anthony made me put my car on my screensaver so I'd be able to read all these off, but I didn't really listen to him because I don't. But my landlord, Jack Howell, he's my only fan out there, really. Not only fans, but you know what I mean, Shaggy. And I think that's it. I don't know. It's time to crack another beer, Shaggy.
Well, hey, man, we're going to see you in this big block, right?
We and Clay were just talking about it. I believe, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but I think he's afraid of the power, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
I took the power just because, well, I'm not afraid of it. Say what you want about Clay when you get him up here. So.
Well, yeah. Now with that little bit, we won't. I mean, people should be able to read between the lines, but
have some fun with it,
Yeah. Do you think with the big block, man, are you going to be willing? Do you think we'll see more guys go up against the wall here in come feature time?
I mean, this is I don't want to give all the secrets out, but this is a middle dominant track. Once it slicks off, you could try it if you want. By all means, I hope you're in front of me when you do. So, you know what I mean? So,
amen.
Yeah, I think I've said enough, Shaggy. I've embarrassed myself enough.
Well, hey, man, you did a hell of a job out there on the racetrack.
It's always fun when I come up here for an interview. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Hey, you guys have a good time, man. It shows. That's what this is about, and I look forward to talking to you again after the big block. Good luck, Scott.
All right, Shaggy, we'll see you.
And now we'll bring up our feature winner here in the 051. Putt, man. You gave up that lead to start the race. What's going through your head, man? Did you think you'd have another shot to get it back?
Yeah, I knew patience was key here. He was driving it a little bit harder than I was, so I just kind of sat back for a little bit, and then I found a groove that was about a lane above anyway, and I just stayed there the whole time. It was consistent and it felt pretty quick.
Yeah, your teammate Scott, he touched on that a little bit, and it seems to be a feature of this racetrack. What is it about the slick, do you think? Just that it's so wide around here, the corners are so wide that you can, have success running the middle of the track rather than right up against the wall. But what makes it so different?
It just doesn't cut momentum, and it does start getting pretty sticky after guys start running it. It'll start getting pretty sticky, and as long as you're not on the throttle, you can just pretty much drag your momentum all the way around the corner and then keep it for on exit. So it's very momentum based, and if you spin once, your momentum's pretty much gone. You got to restart it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, no Blake Chapman tonight, but when guys like you, Anthony, and Blake aren't right around that inside, I know it's probably not going to work. And I mean, you saw drivers try to make it work, but man, you just needed that run out of the corner. And Clay, you had that in the middle of the track tonight. Congratulations on a hell of a run. Full Throttle Motorsports 1-2, man. Who you want to thank?
You guys for putting this all on, all the guys at FTM and Swan Speed Shop for 358 and big block sets.
Well, good luck, Clay. I maybe somebody may have thrown out what kind of car you were driving. So if the people heard it, they know. I won't make you say it, but good luck here, man.
Oh, we just changed the tires. That's it.
Well, hey, give him out, Clay.
Thank you, sir.
That's the 051 of Clay Christopherson. He wins your Full Throttle Motorsports Venom Racing 358 Modifieds. And with that, we take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we will be right back with your Big Block Modified feature next. Stick around.
It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Gets on the champion, trying to be a
bit of a hiatus, so let's get.
Right when we talked about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
And we are back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network for part 2 of 3. I believe Roger Craig going to come on board, give you the 3rd installment here in the Pro Late Models tonight. But right now, the Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modified set to go underway. Qualifying should be any moment now. This driver's wearing that track a little more. 22 drivers in tonight's session. No beam main needed. Everyone's gonna go straight to the show. There's, you see the checkered flag wave. Gonna get ready to roll into qualifying. Let's see who pulls on the racetrack first for qualifying. As we'll see here, it looks like Michael Vitale gonna be the man. Gonna roll that outside through 3 and 4. Get a good diamond line. He's got a lot of speed at the line. Let's see what Michael Vitale in the 2:13 looks like here on lap number 1. Currently, Trevor Giroux gonna be quick time. Where does Vitale slot in? P3. You see Brandon Templeton in the 31. He ties with Trevor Giroux, rips the top shelf. Can he improve? The answer is going to be no. B-Temp going to stay P2 as the Ant-Man Anthony Morano comes around his second lap, P6. Superman P8. Who still has yet to go? Sam Bachman here coming around lap number 1. Kind of time is this going to look like? Samuel Bachman comes home P4. Michael Vecchio, his first lap, P21 out of the 21 drivers that have put in a time. Sam Bachman quicker through sector 2. Not going to improve overall as Mike Brewer, he's running out of time. This is going to be his first lap. Not sure if he's going to have time to get in both laps. There's Mike Brewer, lap number 1, going to qualify P5. Final time through 3 and 4. Slower through sector 1, slower through sector 2. Lap 1's going to stand. And that's going to do it for qualifying here in the Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modifieds. And Your top 5, Trevor Giroux, Brandon Templeton, Sam Bachman, Dan McLaren, and Mike Brewer. As the checkered flag gets ready to wave on qualifying, and we get ready for heat race number 1. Starting on the outside of row number 4, the 21 of John DeBias, and to his inside, the 9 of Brian Lawson. Row number 3 on the high side, the 2 of Harold Klump, and to his inside, the Canadian Alex Pomerleau. The Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux, lines up on the outside of row number 2, and to his inside, Soupy Dan McLaren. Row number 1 for heat race number 1. To the high side, the 271 of Sean Green. And to his inside, get your capes out, Superman Kurt Schatzer. Well, that doesn't look correct. Let's give this a quick little refresh here and go to that starter stand as the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 1 underway. Superman drops the hammer. Looks for a good run on that bottom. Soupy trying to follow him as well as Dan McLaren floats up. Sean Green says, hey man, I'm here. Holds his zone. Gets a run out of 4. Battle the line. Give it to Dan McLaren. Sean Green trying to mount that charge. Oh boy, that was close. We're going to have a battle here soon. 3 wide almost for the lead. Dan McLaren and the Sean Green hook. He goes around. The Canadian involved. Harold Klump involved. We lose 3 cars here. Heat race number 1. And the battle rages on. Trevor Giroux trying to take advantage of their misfortunes and take a peek here on the bottom, but the real beneficiary right behind him. Brian Lawson started 7th up to P4. Brian Lawson got that 9 machine looking good here early on. As Kurt Schatzer takes a peek up in that rearview mirror. That 271 is Sean Green. Awful close here as he's reeling in. Does he think about a move? Not just yet. Gonna stay up top for now. Boy, he gets into the outside wall. And with 2 to go, Sean Green, he's got to get it together because here comes the Philly Flyer. DeBias running all alone back here as the white flag flies for your leader, Kurt Schatzer, looking to start on the pole for tonight's feature. Can Sean Green make one last big throw? The answer's no. Checkered flag waves. Kurt Schatzer's going to start on the pole. Sean Green, P2. Trevor Giroux, 3rd. Brian Lawson, 4th. John DeBias, 5th. Alex Pomerleau, 6th. Harold Klump, 7th. And Dan McLaren rounds out the field. As we get ready to take a look at heat race number 2, on the inside of row number 4, the 7 of Bob DeGood. Row number 3 on the high side, the 247 of Michael Vecchio. And to his inside, the 93 of Butters, Jason Butterfield. Row number 2, B-Temp in the 31 lines up on the high side, and to his inside, the 390 of Mike Brewer. Row number 1, an FTM party on the top shelf, the Ant-Man Anthony Morano, and to his inside, the 051 of Putt-Putt, Clay Christopherson. Not sure why that's not wanting to behave here. Promise you. Refreshed it on my end too. It doesn't want to look right, but the green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 2 underway. As Clay Christopherson tries to get a good run through 1 and 2, but his teammate with a bigger run on the top shelf, they pull even through 3 and 4. 2 by 2 up until you get to that 93 of Jason Butterfield. Butters looking, maybe hoping for some contact in front of him, but not going to get any. Good hard racing up front. Those FTM teammates side by side. And meanwhile, you're looking at Mike Brewer trying to get to the inside of Brandon Templeton. Can Brewer find a way to shrink that 390 90 and get a good run on the inside. Putt at the halfway point. He's going to be your leader as he gets a good run, but Anthony Morano affirms his ground there. Big steam off that top shelf as we're 3 wide on the entry. Mike looking to get a little feisty. D-Temp got that top shelf roll, and the FTM guys pinching off in the middle a little bit. Clay can't find any room in the upstairs. And now Brandon Templeton with 2 to go. Trying to follow the Ant-Man here. Trying to get aggressive as they're 3 wide. White flag in the air one more time around. Can Brandon Templeton get around putt-putt? Or can Clay hold off and finish behind his teammate as we go through 3 and 4 for the final time? Anthony Morano's going to win heat race number 2, followed by Brandon Templeton, Clay Christopherson, Mike Brewer, Jason Butterfield, Michael Vecchio, and Bob DeGood. And as we get ready for our 3rd and final heat race here for the Big Block Modifieds, running out the field in P7, the 099 of Glenn Sharp. Row number 3 on the top shelf, Mr. Wednesday Night, Brian Moore Sr., and to his inside, the 011 of Randall Dixon. The 007 of Sam Bachman lines up on the outside of row number 2, and to his inside, the 213 of Michael Vitale. Row number 1 for your 3rd and final heat race here at the I-55 Raceway. Brought to you by Atlantic Management Resources. On the outside, the 444 of Scott Rayo. And to his inside, the Brewerton Beast in the 513, Jeffrey Barker. Refresh this one more time here. My apologies. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. Heat race number 3 underway. Who's going to win this thing and start on the inside of row number 2? Big run on the outside from the 444 Scott Rayon. Scott leads lap number 1, but it's oh so close. The Brewerton Beast putting up a real fight on the inside. And here comes James Bond on the top shelf, trying to beat down that wall here. He's got that extra power in the big block, I imagine. Really trying to use it. As his teammate in front of the 444, maybe half a lane lower, just not getting the entry speed in. He moves it up a step, and now you see, pulls away from the Brewerton Beast, and we've got a new leader firmly out front, the 444, Scott Rayo. Jeff Barker trying to make that inside work, but he may be beating a dead horse here. With that speed in the big block, you're really starting to see him throw it in and send it around. And with 3 to go, moves Sam Bachman on up to P2. Just as I say that here, the Brewerton Beast gonna make me eat my words. Fights back on the inside, pulls even, but Sam Bachman inches ahead at the line. 1.5 laps to go here as we roll through 3 and 4. White flag flying, final trip around. Who's going to get P2? Your guess is as good as mine. Well, now give it to the 007. Jeff Barker slips up a little bit. Checkered flag waves, and Scott Rayon wins heat race number 3, followed by Sam Bachman, Jeff Barker, Michael Vitale, Brian Moore Sr., Randall Dixon, and Glenn Sharp. We're going to take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, and we'll be right back after these messages. We're back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network for your Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modified feature here at the I-55 Raceway. Brandon Templeton atop the chart, Sam Bachman, Kurt Schatzer, Michael Vitale, and Mike Brewer. Your top 5 is... Well, if you're out there watching, thanks for tuning in tonight. You saw there, I'm going to hit it as quick as I can, but we got the C2C Speed Week coming up with all proceeds benefiting the Steve King Foundation. Go to c2crl.com to find out more, but an amazing event that Coast to Coast loves putting on for the Steve King Foundation is... Well, let's back it up a little bit here. I didn't go far enough down the list, and let's take a look here at the starting lineup. Outside of row number 11, rounding out the field, the 88 of Soupy Dan McLaren, and his inside the 099 of Glenn Sharp. Row number 10, the 7 of Bob DeGood on the outside, and his inside the 397 of Alex Pomerleau. Row number 9, the 011 of Randall Dixon, into his inside the 247 of Michael Vecchio. Row number 8 on the high side, Harold Klump, into his inside the 055 of Brian Morrison. Row number 7, the 93 of Butters, Jason Butterfield, into his inside the 21 of John DeBias. Michael Vitale lines up on the outside of row number 6, into his inside the 390 of Mike Brewer. Row number 5, the 9 of Brian Lawson, into his outside the 513 of Jeff Barker. Row number 4, Putt on the outside and the Philly Flyer to the inside. Row number 3, Sam Bachman and Brandon Templeton. Row number 2, the 271 of Sean Green, and his inside Scott Rayo. Row number 1 for your AMR Big Block Modified feature, to the outside the Ant-Man Anthony Morano, and to his inside Superman Kurt Schatzer, as we get ready to play in the clay. 30 laps at the I-55 Raceway. We're underway. Kurt Schatzer leads us into turn number 1. Anthony Morano tries to make a comeback there, but car's just not wound up yet. Looking to fight under the 218 as Kurt Schatzer slides up, and he takes the lead in the early stages. Battling in the back here, Blackjack to the outside, Mike Brewer to the inside. The Brew Crew's been loud here on the YouTube tonight. If you're out there watching, let us know who you're rooting for. Got some Brewer fans. Do we have any Morano fans? Do we have any Superman fans? As he's got the cape flapping, leading the way here in the 218. Oh, car's getting in the wall there. I believe that was Sean Green in the 271. It was that yellow machine. Gonna lose a couple spots, able to keep rolling. Caution, flag flies, John DeBias involved. Let's see if we can see what happened to this black number 3. John just goes around there, loses the rear end in the center of the corner, nowhere for Butters to go. The 93 is going to give him a little love tap. And John's going to go around right in front of the starter stand. The caution flag waves. Kurt Schatzer rolling around out front. Doing pretty good here, but long way to go. And oh man, I'm telling you, could have swore I had these cameras loaded up. Did I? Gonna maybe get a little seasick here for a second. I could have swore whenever I had this camera. I'm doing tonight, but I could have swore when I loaded this up in warm-ups it worked. But hey, we're not going to get the driver camera here tonight. The Steve King Foundation pace car pulls off. The green flag is high. We're back underway. Kurt Schatzer drops the hammer, and Anthony Morano looks to take advantage of that inside starting spot, but can as Brandon Templeton really gets a run off that top shelf. He's looking to get in line, but leaves enough of a gap. Anthony didn't take advantage, didn't shut the door. Anthony can now Maybe he wants to float in that middle. Doesn't want to go up there. That's what we heard Scott Rayone talk about after his little interview. Finished second in the small blocks. Can he finish second or better? Currently running second here in the big blocks. We're not even halfway. 22 laps to play. Jeff Barker on the bottom. They were 3 wide there through 1 and 2, and they look like they are for a second through 3 and 4. The boys in front. Oh man, the 213 Michael Vitale, he slips up a little bit. Clay thought about it. Putt couldn't get aggressive there. 4 wide for a moment in 3 and 4. Oh, Brandon Templeton shown the rear end. And the 31, we saw a little bit of it. Up and over, gets a shot, lands on all 4s. And Brandon Templeton towing anyway. Tough break here. Let's see if we can try and figure out what happened here. Well, this is a terrible camera, but we got to change it here for the next time, or it was always going to go to that camera. So Sam throws a slide job, and that's where, Brandon, it stinks. It really does, but let's go. Actually, this is probably a little better view. You can see he's down there now. You definitely see he's down there, and this is where, you got to crack that throttle. You're just trying to make room where there isn't. Sam was always going to go there. And Brandon finds himself up and over, goes for a ride, and just like that, the 31. His night here in the big blocks may have come to an end. Roll through 3 and 4. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. We're back underway at I-55 Raceway. Good jump for Superman out front as the war rages behind him. Vitale on the bottom. Clay Christopherson looking in that center groove where he had so much success in the small blocks. He said he was just changing tires. He's right back in that small block again. You're seeing some of the power of the big blocks going down the straightaway, but Clay so smooth through the center of the corner that he's driven that 051 up into the top 5. Scott feeling the pressure from, he's got, 1, 2, 3, 4 teammates behind him, or 3, but 4 teammates there in the top 5. Impressive run by FTM. There's Sam Bachman, one of the drivers, gets into the outside wall. No harm, no foul. Keeps on rolling. But Scott Rayome up on that top shelf here, really letting her eat as the caution flag flies for the 3rd time here at the I-55 Raceway. Harold Klump, I believe, one of the cars involved. Let's see if we can get a look at this. This is one where I don't think we're going to get much help. And it looks like the 747 there, Michael Vecchio. Maybe he gets rolling or gets sideways, excuse me. Now you see he does actually get rolling. Gets another shot there from the 3. Does a nice wheel stand as, man, Harold Klump, he decides to go for a roll too. Vecchio hard into the wall again. Both drivers land on all 4s. Maybe not driving the best. Gonna have to go in for quick repairs, but still get to keep rolling away here as the laps tick down. 13 laps to go. This time by when we take the green flag. As the lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace car, it's going to dive in as Kurt Schatzer diamonds off, drops the hammer. We're back underway. Great restart for the 444 all over him. They both get into that outside wall, maybe a little worse for the 444, and Kurt Schatzer separates himself a little bit, but it's not going to be an easy run. Here comes the field of Clay Christopherson. He gets a move thrown on the inside. Oh, Anthony Morano looking for P2. The Ant-Man with a good run downstairs. Scott with a little hiccup through 1 and 2. Kurt Schatzer loving what he sees off that tail tank. Boys behind him running hard. Anthony Morano to the inside. Scott Rayome on the top shelf. Who's it gonna be? Can Sam Bachman throw his hat in the ring? The 007 thinking about making it 3 wide, and he does. He takes a peek. 9 to go. Superman leads the way. Mr. Wednesday Night sees some action behind him. Brian Lawson trying to work his way up into the top 10, but see Clay Christopherson banging doors there with the 213. He throws a slide job. Michael Vitale back down low. And here comes Mike Brewer. He's seeing the contact in front. What does he think about doing? He throws it in low. Michael Vitale, Clay Christopherson rubbing. Oh, man. Michael shuts the door. Clay back downstairs looking for more. Contact as they enter 1. 6 laps to go. These drivers not leaving a thing out there. Using every single inch in this racetrack. Can Clay Christopherson find a way to get into the top 5 as Mike Brewer once again takes a peek down low? Out front, 4 laps to go. Kurt Schatzer leads the way. Half a second. Scott Rayome, tick, 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 tick. Running out of time. He's inching closer, but will he have enough time to make the move? 3 laps left. Kurt Schatzer with a heck of a run off of 2 increases that lead a little bit, and you gotta think Superman just wants the sand to drain out of the glass here. 2 more trips around. Can they get to the white flag? Lap traffic, but it's not gonna matter. White flag waves. Can Superman be good enough to hold on here as the battle rages on behind him? Final time through 3 and 4. Kurt Schatzer brings home the checkered flag in Pevely, Missouri here at the I-55 Raceway. Scott Rayome P2, Anthony Morano 3rd, Sam Bachman 4th, and Michael Vitale rounding out the top 5. But your Atlantic Management Resources big block modifieds. Boy, oh boy. What a treat here early on. Fantastic run from Kurt Schatzer. Starts up front, finishes there. Not an easy task. But able to bring home. Now, I'm going to throw myself out there. I'd guess this is the first one of the year. We're going to double check. But I am almost certain this is Kurt's first win of the season. As this is only his 2nd race of the season. And his 2nd top 5. But first win of the season for Superman. Congratulations to that 218 driving around in a rocket ship here tonight. But let's find the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano. I see now, Shaggy's got to do something here. I do, just for my sanity, because now it's showing the drivers. Okay, I have cam roll bar. I don't understand. Very weird, but hey, I don't know. I don't know what to say. As actually, I need to click F12 to let these cameras rotate. But we're going to bring the Ant-Man up here, give him a chance to talk about another fantastic run here for him and his FTM teammates, Scott Rayome. Just coming up a little bit short here, but at a racetrack. There we go, Anthony. Hey, man, bringing home P3 tonight. It just seemed like I-55. I mean, don't get me wrong. Great racetrack, but man, oh man, you really need that guy ahead of you to make a mistake or Man, it's tough to get around. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the tougher tracks to pass on. But I know Scotty had the big block there, and I was running a small block, so really wasn't able to keep up with him once especially early in the race. There was still tack for them big block cars to get into, so there's some struggle in there trying to just get going. But yeah, definitely take third and work on the points lead, and even if it takes the small block, I guess I wouldn't have to worry about spinning the tires, didn't burn them up. So worked out pretty good. A lot of fun out there racing with Scott like that, side by side. That's always a good time.
No, and obviously, man, pretty even race. I mean, could have went either way, but if you could go back and do it again, would you still stick with the small block? You think you made the right decision there?
Yeah, I think so. I know Scott was struggling a little bit with wheel spin, so I was able to get on it pretty hard coming out of the corner and have to worry about that part of it. So yeah, I'd rather keep the tires in the car straight than have to worry about sliding around too much.
Well, at the end of the day, Anthony, you're able to do just that. You bring home another podium here for Full Throttle Motorsports, and you said it, man. You get to work on that points lead a little bit, increase it even a little further. Congratulations, Anthony. Good run, man. Who you want to thank?
I got to thank my wife, Sherry, for letting me come on here. The boys at FTM, Dean at Super Car, Logan at High Mom Lens, Swan Speed Shop, DJ Sim Shop, Expert Installation, Casper Flagstone, MDI TV, GripHack.com. Thanks, Scotty, for running me clean there, and kind of pinched Sam a few times, so I feel pretty bad about that. And of course, I'm supposed to say hi to Megan because she's probably watching at some point, even though Scott says it's that's his biggest fan. So, but thank you, Shaggy, Coast to Coast, and AMR and Justified for sponsoring the division.
Well, hey, a heck of a run, Anthony. Congratulations, man, and I'm sure this isn't the last time I'm talking to that 32 this season. Good run.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Now we're going to bring up the man who finished second place, his teammate in the 444. Scott, 2 for 2 tonight. Double podium, maybe coming up one step short, but hey, man, you had great runs tonight.
I guess I got to get me a cool looking dress. I'm always the bridesmaid, Shaggy.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, in a year that, you've had some unfortunate luck, let's just be honest, taken out in some heat races, you've really had to try to work your way up through the field. How much does a night like tonight mean for you when, maybe it didn't go perfect, man, but everything seemed to go just right?
Well, I mean, this track and Linear are two of my favorite tracks. So I come in here, I'm not discouraged by any means by getting a podium, but I come in here with the expectation on myself to you better be battling for a win, and if I don't, that's I had a bad night, you know what I mean? And I hate to sound arrogant or cocky or anything like that, but this is one of the tracks where I have to do good at because there's so many of them out there that I don't do good at, that this track I have to make up for. So yeah, I've had some bad luck, put myself in some bad situations or got caught up in someone else's mess or whatever, but that's racing, that's part of it. So a night like this, it helps out. I got the win in the matinee tonight in a pair of seconds. I can't be mad at that,
No, and able to shake the dust off, get 2 drivers on the podium again for FTM, man. It's been anytime you boys come out and play, you got to expect at least 2, sometimes 3 of you to be on the podium. But you guys are racing hard tonight, and well, just touch on that a little bit. Clay was involved there a little bit. Sam was involved. How much fun is that, going 3 wide with your teammates? I'm not sure if you even knew you were 3 wide, but at one point Sam stuck his nose down there, and man, it looked real good.
No, I had no idea I know Tony was always right there underneath me, and I know one time when I slid him right before that one caution came out, he's like, Scott, slide me, and I'm like, so I slid him, but I'm like, why did I do that? I like the bottom, you know what I mean? But so yeah, we always help each other out. We're always trying to coach each other along. We give each other a hard time in there a lot of times too, but it's all out of fun. And it's one of the things, like I've said it before numerous times, where we're not just a race team. To me, it's like all these guys are like brothers that I don't have. They're like family to me, and Dean's like our grandpa. But so, we all enjoy racing each other. We race each other clean, but we also race each other hard. Like I could have easily said, Tony, you're up there in the points. I could have lifted for him right there at the line and gave him second, but he wouldn't have appreciated that. You know what I mean? It's like we always try to earn what we get, and it's one of the beauties of this team is, you know, from where we started 4 years ago to where we are now, it's mind-boggling. You know, we got people always asking to join. We got other guys that, you know, just are coming aboard, and you know, it's like we're trying to branch out to different cars. It's pretty amazing to me where we've came from when we started this. So it makes me happy when we're all up here on the podium or get, you know, top fives.
Well, man, you know, you guys work hard for what you do. It shows. Congratulations on another P2. Who you want to thank, Scott?
Well, we're going to stick to it. We're going to go with, I got to thank all the boys over at FTM, DJ Sim Shop for the cool looking wraps. I hope it looks good. I get a lot of compliments on these two cars that I run here. Gunner at Swan Speed Shop, he's really been working hard at getting us some dig on the open side. I got to thank Tony's wife, Sherry, for just being such a phenomenal woman. I don't know why he talks bad about her all the time in Discord, but she's really a phenomenal woman. Same with Dean's girlfriend, Megan. I mean, come on, Dean, be a little nicer to her. Buy her flowers once in a while. I've derailed, Shaggy. I'm getting another beer, man. You have a good night.
Hey, man, you too. Good luck here in the late models if you run those, Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
All righty. Have fun, bud.
See you.
That's your P2 finisher, Scott Rayome. And now we bring up the man of the hour, Superman. You had the cape flapping in the breeze, man. You got out front, and you just didn't look back. That thing was quick. They never even got close to flirt with you, man. How'd that thing feel?
Yeah, thanks, Shaggy. Yeah, I mean, the car felt really, really quick. Yeah, got lucky, really. I mean, I just had a good heat race. I mean, I didn't really feel too comfortable, and then just as the feature went in, I just, you know, just settled in, kept telling myself to stay calm, and tried to be easy with that throttle, and yeah, not get too excited.
Yeah, you know, when you're out front and you don't have anybody else to judge off, how tricky is it to maneuver that car around and find the quick line? Because, man, you either had some help from some teammates telling you where to go, or, boy, you found it because, man, I'm serious, Kurt. Nobody else had anything for you.
Well, I think Anthony might have had a 358 in, and, you know, we all know he's pretty fast around the bottom, and I'm mostly comfortable up top, so I like to get up top. I mean, if anybody was going to get by me, I was going to leave that bottom open for them, and if it came in, it came in. Scotty, he was working on me there the first half of the race and getting up to my door in 3 and 4, and it kind of told me I needed to move down a little bit for then, and then I just felt comfortable with it, and then just kept doing what I was doing, and didn't really change all after that, and it was just working for me.
Yeah, you know, in that final restart, he gives it one last lunge. Not sure if you felt it or not. You get a little shot through 1 and 2, man. But I think that was the jump you needed because you end up winning that thing by a little over half a second. And I know you calmed down that last lap, probably just letting it sink in.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him. I mean, he apologized to me, but I was like, I don't even really feel you. I thought I might have got excited and jumped on the gas and broke it loose, but yeah, I didn't feel it. I mean, I just settled in, kept doing what I was doing. I mean, with them two guys behind me, I mean, I knew it was, I knew I had to keep hitting my marks and just stay calm and quit trying to look at that mirror. I don't know if they were side-by-side battling most of the race that allowed me to get out front and keep it there. But, yeah, I'm happy with that. It's been a while since at least sit on the podium. I mean, it took some time off just pick and choosing some races here and there, and haven't ran a big block all season, so I got to thank my team, Hammer Down Racing, Brandon Templeton, Brian Dixon. He got on the podium there in the small block race, and Dirt Track Bank, Jay, everything they do to help racers all around the country. Got Your Six Racing Network with Friday Night Lights, Joe Halter there, and Shaggy TV, and you, and Coast to Coast giving us a place to race, and everybody watching at home.
Well, hey, Kurt, only took you 2 shots this year, man. Second race of the season, and you've got 2 top 5s and a win. Hell of a job, man. Way to come in and stamp yourself here at I-55. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you, bud.
And that's your winner, Kurt Schatzer in the 218. I say he hasn't run a lot of races this season, but proven that the 218 still got a lot of speed, able to take home the checkered flag here in your Atlantic Management Resources Big Block Modified feature event. And well, with that, I'm not too sure here if the prolates are going to be covered by someone else. We're going to throw up the in-between session video, but it may possibly be an end to the night here. We'll see, but all the drivers running in the prolates, good luck. And, well, I'm going to do my part on behalf of everyone here at the Coast to Coast Racing Network, all the admins, Roger Craig, I'm Zach Chapman with Shaggy TV. Signing off here for the rest of the evening. Have a good night. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion, trying to be a bit of a
hiatus. So let's get.
Tonight we'll be talking about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
We're back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Hey, you know what? Had a little bit of time to spare. Decided to stick around. And I'm going to bring you the Dirt Track Bank Friday Night Lights Pro late models. Smaller field here. 11 guys came out to play for this one. Right now, Trevor Giroux has the quick time. He's your fastest driver in qualifying. The Ant-Man Anthony Morano P2 and Scott Rayome third. With Dan McLaren and Brandon Templeton a close 4 and 5. As you see that green change to white. Time is out here in qualifying, and we get ready to roll into heat race number 1. Row number 3 on the outside, the 4 of Greg Parmalee, and to his inside, the 93 of Jason Butterfield. Row number 2 to the high side, the 075 of the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux into his inside, the 444 of Scott Rayome. Row number 1 for heat race number 1 on the high side, the 31 of B-Temp Brandon Templeton. And it is inside, starting on the pole, Blackjack in the 21, John DeBias. As we get to do a little reset, used to doing that here tonight. Not too sure why we're double stacking. We figure it out quick. We're going to roll around one more time. Here, 2 pace laps at the I-55 Raceway. Drivers get to think, do we run the inside through a 1, or if you're Brandon Templeton, do you even have a choice? You really do got to drive it in deep, try to get it done on the top shelf if you want to walk away with a heat race number 1 win. Pole sitter Philly in the 075, the Philly Flyer. Keep an eye on him as the green flag flies. Heat race number 1 underway. Brandon Templeton and the 075 of the Philly Flyer. Good runs through 1 and 2. The 31 with the early lead. Blackjack with some trouble on the inside. The 93 of Jason Butterfield, he tightened up on entry. And Scott Rayome, he started 3rd, has fallen the whole way back to 5th. Not the heat race number 1 he wanted as we've got a battle for the lead. Brandon Templeton with a slide job. The Philly Flyer coming back with a little slider of his own. Can he close the door? The answer's no. Brandon Templeton with the lead, 5 to go. Back at it though, Trevor Giroux, but Brandon Templeton gonna slide up in 3 and 4, but the Philly Flyer, he's going nowhere. Slide job through 1 and 2. Brandon Templeton tries to crack back under, loses the rear end. He's gonna send it in deep. Short slider on the Philly Flyer, but give it to Trevor at the line. Back and forth, back and forth. Who's going to take home the checkered flag here in heat race number 1? As we go through 3 and 4, Brandon Templeton right up against that wall, takes the lead, 2 to go. The Venom driver slides it in, takes the lead back. Brandon Templeton slides up across the nose. The Philly Flyer drives back under. He takes the lead with 1 to go. Can Trevor Giroux hold on? Final time through 3 and 4. Brandon Templeton too far back, and Trevor Giroux is going to start on the pole for tonight's feature. Brandon Templeton P2, John DeBias 3rd, Butters 4th, Scott Rayome 5th, and Greg Parmalee never made the call to the grid, but going to get credit for P6. We take a look here at our second and final heat race here at the I-55 Raceway. Rounding out the field, starting P5 in the 89, Mason Hine. Row number 2 on the high side, the Ant-Man Anthony Morano. And to his inside in the 88, Dan McLaren. Row number 1 for heat race number 2 on the high side, the 390 of Mike Brewer. And to his inside, the 9 of Brian Lawson. Now, row number 2, they had some contact here in the 358s. Keep an eye on those guys. See if they behave or we get a little early fireworks display as we roll through 3 and 4. The Steve King Foundation pace truck pulls off. 8 laps to play in the clay at I-55 Raceway. Heat race number 2 underway. Brian Lawson, not the best entry there, really tightened up in the center, and you see the 390 of Mike Brewer try to take that early lead as he tightens up in the center of 3 and 4. He's able to hold on to that lead as Anthony Morano comes storming on that top shelf, looking to make a groove that's maybe not there, the 32. He's got to play the long game here, has to be a little patient. Sucks up to the back of that 390. Brian Lawson tries to float up and get in line, but the Ant-Man's right there. They're 3 wide coming out of 4. Mike Brewer just overdrives the middle of 1 and 2 a little bit. Anthony reels him back in, and you don't want to leave that 32 close enough to throw one of these. Slide job through 1 and 2. Brewer looking back down to the inside. He's going to be able to hold on for now. But Anthony's got him right where he wants him. 3 to go with another slide job. Anthony with a better run, center off, but gets into the outside wall. And Mike Brewer, he's got to be smooth here these final 2 laps if he wants to take home heat race number 2. Anthony already right back to that tail tank. Can he send it into 3 and 4? Maybe slide job? No, he's going to stick on the bottom. White flag flies, 1 more trip around. Anthony inches up close, but can't find the runoff. Final time through 3 and 4. Mike Brewer takes home heat race number 2, followed by Anthony Morano, Dan McLaren, Brian Lawson, and Mason Hine. As we take a quick break here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, we'll be right back with your Dirt Track Bank Friday Night Lights Pro Late Model feature. Stick around. We're back live on the Coast to Coast Racing Network for your 30-lap Pro Late Model feature presented to you by the Dirt Track Bank and Friday Night Lights. Appreciate you guys coming back on board this season. Love the partnership we have. And man, Joe Halter, he's done an amazing job over there running Friday Night Lights and the Dirt Track Bank. I mean, heard plenty of drivers thank him here throughout the night. Kurt Schatzer, Brian Dickens, integral part of dirt racing all over the United States, the Dirt Track Bank. Phenomenal organization that, well, we're very lucky to have on board. We're rounding out the field, starting P11 in that 4, Greg Parmalee. Outside of row number 5 in the 89, Mason Hine. And to his inside, the 444 of Scott Rayone. Row number 4 on the high side, the 9 of Brian Lawson. And to his inside, the 93 of Butters, Jason Butterfield. Row number 3 on that top shelf, the 88 of Soupy Dan McLaren. And to his inside, the 21 of John Tobias. Row number 2 to the outside, the 32 of the Ant-Man, Anthony Morano. And to his inside, the 31 of B-Temp, Brandon Templeton. Row number 1 for your I-55 Raceway Dirt Track Bank Friday Night Lights Pro Late Model Feature. To the top shelf, the 390 of Mike Brewer. And starting on the pole in the 075, the Philly Flyer, Trevor Giroux. Trevor looked good in heat race number 1. Will it translate here to the feature as we get ready to roll? The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. 40 laps to play in the clay at I-55 Raceway. Man, oh man, they're going at it right away. Brandon Templeton looking to make a storm. Third to second. Can he go second to first? The answer's no. The Philly Flyer looking good on that top shelf. Got all the horses rolling as Mike Brewer trying to find his way back on up to P2. Takes a peek on that top shelf. Can he get around the 31? At Dirt Track Bank 31 shuts the door. Brandon Templeton gets upstairs, and he's got to find a way to run down that 75. The Philly Flyer in the wall. Man, he helped him out. Takes it in the wall in 1 and 2. And just like that, got to shake the dust off here and get back at it as the battle heats up behind. Mike Brewer got this 88 of Dan McLaren. On his outside, can Mike get the Kubota 390 rolling on the bottom? There's the high side, the place you want to be. Dan McLaren fighting tooth and nail as the Ant-Man Anthony Morano looking for P2. The 32 down low, tries to get a run coming off the corner, but just can't. Really has to pinch it off and loses all momentum. You see the 31 just float away. Center of the straightaway and off, and that's the difference here. You can get it rolling through the center of the corner, but coming off, you tighten up, and when you want to straighten that wheel out, well, you gotta lift out of the throttle because you look up and there's the 31 car, and Dan McLaren taking advantage of that high side. He rolls the 88 up into the top 4. Scott Rayum trying to find a way around the 9 of Brian Lawson. He looks to the inside. They almost touch as Scott's got to fight a loose race car center off. Mike Brewer back to the inside of Dan McLaren. Not too sure if Soupy got in that outside wall, but gave it back to the 390 at the line. Here comes Dan, wanting another little piece of the pie. Soupy rolling that top shelf. He's got her straight going down the front stretch. Give him back P4 at the line. But Mike's not going away. He's got that thing rolling down there, and he's saving tire doing that. So if he can get a late race caution, watch out for the 390 as the battle heats up front. The Philly Flyer gets into that outside wall. Protects with a slider. B-Temp rolling the top. Does he throw one? Yes, he does. Coming down. Slide job. Slides up. The Philly Flyer coming back. We're not even halfway, and they're beating the walls down at this place. Lap 15 just in the books. B-Temp looks to the bottom through 3 and 4. Slide job. Trevor Giroux coming back as Anthony Morano with a big grin on his face. Reeling these guys in. Look at the Ant-Man's view. They touch through 3 and 4. Anthony gets a bigger grin. Makes it 3 wide. Brandon Templeton in the wall. B-Temp breaks the right front on that 31, and you got to think he's hoping for a caution. You watch it roll, nowhere for B-Temp to go. No caution. He can't turn this thing. He's got to park it. Caution flag flies. There was nothing Brandon Templeton could do about that. He had to. At that point, we watched the right front tire roll away. Let's see if we can break down a little bit of what happened. So Brandon Brandon Templeton. They enter side by side in 3 and 4. They make a little contact here. They're with the right rear. You see it straightens him back up. He rides up the hill. They get pretty close to touching again here as we go into the Chapman Racing drone camera. B-Temp doing his best to stay off of him. Gives him one last little nudge there. Tries to free the car up and let it drive off straight, but just gets into that outside wall. And there was no saving it from there. Right front brakes. And he's just along for the ride in that 31. Was up there battling for the lead. Now Brandon Templeton hoping he can get out of the pits in time here to go back racing. As the lights are off on the Steve King Foundation pace truck. Almost halfway, 22 laps to play when we get the green flag. This time by Dan McLaren to that inside. Everybody else wanting to float up top. Not taking advantage of the double file. Some guys like in single file and the Ant-Man battling for the lead. Early, he gets into maybe the 75, broken right front. And boy, oh boy, let's go back and let's break this down here. What happens through 1 and 2? The Philly Flyer, good run on that top shelf. I mean, he's still there. Anthony straightens up coming off the corner and just maybe not what he wanted to do, but just gets the elbows out, and the Philly Flyer with absolutely nowhere to go. Spoils a what could have been night for the 075 here. See, he's down there. Is he looking to find that pit stall? I'm not too sure. Trevor may not even be able to get that thing into his pit in time. It's lights are off. He's going to have to really hustle in that 075 if he wants to get back out there. Anthony Morano, not too sure if he had to pit as well, but he drops back to the back. Both cars involved. Green flags high. It's ready to fly. 21 laps as the drivers approach the halfway point. There does come the Philly Flyer, but he is a long, long way back. His welcome to the top 3. Dan McLaren, Scott Rayome, and Brian Lawson. That really shook things up here as we're at the halfway point. Mason Hine in the 89 looking low, looking for his first. It would be his first career podium here with Shaggy. I don't believe he's had one with me, but the 89's getting some company if he takes a look low. Here comes Anthony Morano as the battle's starting to heat up front. Dan McLaren in the middle. Scott Rayome trying to work in that top cushion. Scotty just not up as high as he may want to be. Hammered that throttle coming off of 1 and 2, and there's just no grip there. You gotta move up another stage. You gotta try to find that speed and get around. As Dan McLaren rolls here, 16 laps to go. Anthony Morano's been able to drive his way back up to 4th. Trevor Giroux, he's he's able to make up some ground. He was way back there, but only gained 1 position so far. P7, and Trevor, you gotta know he's frustrated here. Only 14 laps to go. The Philly Flyer gonna need some serious help as the Ant-Man looks back to the inside. You got Trevor's teammate in the 9. He's not gonna give Anthony as much room as you'd think he normally would. Not after that move. He crosses back to the inside. Drives it in nice, behaves himself. Thought we may have seen something funny coming, but lap number 12 here, we're ready to roll. Brewer, he was involved in that accident as well. He was able to fix the race car. He's back in the top 5. Can he get up into the podium? Brewer showing a lot of speed as he defends the 89 Hine. Scott Rayom right on the tail tank of that 88 with 10 laps to go. Plenty of time to make a move. You don't want to show your hand too early if you're Dan. You don't want to get in the slide job, or I mean if you're Scott, you don't exactly want to get in the slider war. You want to throw it when you know you can finish the deal. And Scotty's got time left, but the sand's falling out of the hourglass as Trevor Giroux races his way back up into the top 5. Can he get onto the podium? 8 laps to go, 2 spots to go as he gets ready to work on the 390 of Mike Brewer. Scott Rayom to the inside. Anthony, oh boy. Trevor thought about it, couldn't do it, and he's going to have to regroup here. But those front 3, they're getting a lot closer. You never know, man, what may happen in these closing laps here at I-55. Five to go this time. Dan McLaren leading the way as Anthony Morano to the top shelf, trying to move on up into that middle podium spot. Big slide job from Trevor Giroux. Mike Brewer coming back. He thinks about it. Can't clear it. Gotta keep it down low. And Mike Brewer falls back to 5th. Battle for the lead. Anthony takes a peek, but Dan has enough to hold him off. Soupy in the outside wall. Anthony's got a lip. What did that do to the 88? Does he still have good handling on that thing? He was in the wall. Big move here from Anthony. Slide job. Dan McLaren back to the doors. They enter 3 and 4. Here comes the 75. They make contact. White flag. Oh, Anthony loses the right front here as Dan McLaren drives down the backstretch. Final time through 3 and 4. Checkered flag wins. Dan McLaren wins your feature at the I-55 Raceway. Trevor Giroux storms back up through the field for an exciting P2. And Scott Rayom holds on to complete the triple podium here tonight. Good run for the 444 of Scott Rayom. As we see here, not seeing, okay. Trevor may have wadded the thing up here. He's not in the podium. I was making sure. It wasn't black flagged or something. Only 2 cars showing up there for the podium shot. But man, oh man, let's go back here. I went back way too far. I clicked the wrong one. Let's try and break down this last lap here. Dan floats up, and I mean, they just touched. That's racing it. Finicky right front, runs out of room. Anthony loses it, and that's a tough break for Anthony. He had a good recovery after the contact there he made with Trevor. But watches it slip away there at the end. And look at the battle here to the line. For P2, Scott leaves the door open. And the Philly Flyer, by inches, gets P2 at the line. And good run for the boys here this evening as we give them a minute or 2 to catch their breath. And we pull them up for their interviews. Let's see here. Scott, Shaggy in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Sure, why not?
3 for 3, brother. I mean, you were running around P2, but Trevor steals it from you at the line. How much fun was that out there?
I'm sweating. I don't know what I'm doing in those things. I just got lucky with some of those guys getting together and whatnot at the front. I started to figure it out towards the end. Then, things didn't really go my way as far as, driving wise. I'll leave it at that. But, I mean, hey, last week I got a second in these things. This week I got a third. Maybe I ought to play with these a little bit more.
Yeah, obviously every driver has their own flavor of cake they like, but what throttle control do you prefer? Do you like the big blocks or do you like the late model style? What suits Scott better?
Well, Tony was in my ear the whole time, drive it like a big block. But the thing I noticed, like, you really got to pay attention to when you're getting on the gas and where your wheel is positioned when you get on the gas, because it will shoot you right to the wall. So, I mean, that's mainly why I stuck to the middle, just to kind of like, so I didn't go up into the wall. And I mean, I'm learning these things. I'm not gonna lie, they're a lot of fun, but they take some getting used to. At the beginning, I was way in the back and just kind of riding around there, just trying to figure them out. But I mean, I practiced earlier today with them. I had today off, so I was playing around with them a little bit. But the track wasn't slick like this, so I mean, it felt great. And then I got out here and I'm like, oh my God, I think my first lap in warm-ups, I looped it and hit the wall, and I don't know what I was doing. I look like a monkey trying to throw a football. So, but yeah, man, I guess I'll take a third. I don't know how I'm up here, honestly.
Well, you know, sometimes, like I say, man, you know, you dealt with your fair share. I told you that in your last interview, man. This is not been, you know, I know you've got to be polite, but this hasn't been a nice season here to the 444. I can say it for you. And it's about time the dominoes fall your way a little, Scott. You earned this one, man. Congratulations.
I mean, yeah, the last 2 seasons, really, I got wrecked. I think almost in every race last season in the fall. But so, I mean, yeah, it's sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield, Shaggy. So, but yeah, I mean, all the guys over at Full Throttle Motorsports, Dean at Super Dirt Car, we're not going to get crazy like we did the last time. So, DJ, for this wrap, he literally made this wrap in like 5 minutes. He just took his wrap, changed the numbers, and gave it to me. And I'm like, perfect, it works. Gunner at Swan Speed Shop for all your 358 big block sets. I forgot to mention Justified for the AMR in the big blocks. So shout out to him. I'm not quite sure who sponsors this because I don't usually run these, but whoever that is, appreciate that. And obviously, Shaggy, it's my third one. I didn't mention you once, but thanks for jumping in here and doing this one. We absolutely love it when you're doing the broadcast. It's so much fun when I watch them back, and I just start chuckling with, you know, how your broadcasts go. We love it. So we appreciate that. And yeah, I guess that's it, man.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate it. And it's good practice. You know, eventually me and Marty, we're going to force Dean's crew out, and Dean's going to have no choice but to bring me and Marty on board. And, you know,
we love it. We love it. Absolutely. That'd be great. Marty's fantastic. I love it when he's doing the broadcast, and you as well. You know, it's so much fun. You know what we need to do is we need to get both of you guys in the booth at the same time, and hopefully I can get a podium that night, because I think Marty gets a little uncomfortable with some of my interviews because, you know, I'm not politically correct. And Christ, I got 21 years as a New York State correction officer. There's no such thing as politically correct there. So, you know, I speak what's on my mind sometimes, and that makes them a little uncomfortable. But I also like to have a lot of fun. So, you know, we joke around, we have some fun. Half the crap I say is just having fun. Don't take nothing I say serious.
Well, Scott, you know, I like having fun. You're always a fun interview. Congratulations, man, and good luck here the rest of the way, brother.
Thanks, Shaggy. We'll talk to you later.
That's Scott Rayom, your third place finisher. And now we're going to bring up the man who, for a while, thought we were going to be talking to him at the end of this thing. But, Trevor, you get caught up in a little bump and run going down the backstretch. But, man, oh, man, you drove the freaking wheels off that thing to get that back to P2. How you feeling?
I don't know. A little disappointed, but I mean, yeah, beat the hell out of the right rear to get back up there. But I mean, yeah, hopefully put on a show for the fans, and especially in that heat race there, that was some damn good racing. But yeah, I mean, finished second, so I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially, you know, looking at the halfway point, I mean, you saw your trouble there in the pits. Took you a while to get out, and, you know, you weren't even really tightened up with the field. So you had to work twice as hard to get up to where you are. And it seemed like it took you a while to get around that 390 machine. But even while you're throwing those sliders back and forth, man, those front three were getting a lot closer. What's going through your head in those final laps? I mean, did we really think a P2 was on the cards?
Honestly, I didn't even think I was going to get back on the track after my right front was broken. I was asking to have the yellow delayed because I couldn't get the damn thing to turn, but we got in the pits, and then I told the guys, I was like, let's go here. I'm all cards off the table. I'm getting back to the front. I didn't even think I was gonna catch the damn field, let alone finish second. So yeah, I mean, as frustrated as I am, just because felt like I had the fastest car all night, and me and Anthony get into it a little bit over there, and yeah, I mean, it happens. It's racing. I've known Anthony for a long time, like well before C2C. So we'll there's obviously no hard feelings or nothing, but yeah, it just sucks. I mean, definitely felt like we had a car to win, but to come back and finish second, it will absolutely take it, and teammate won, so we'll definitely take it.
Yeah, at the end of the night, you have a tough race, but you're able to shake it off. You said it, man. Bring home a Venom 1-2. So good points night for you, Trevor. Maybe not where you want to be, but got plenty of time here the rest of the season to come back at them. Congratulations on a good run. Who you want to thank?
Just to thank Dean Reynolds with the Super Dirt Car Series, RSN Trackside, Big Tim Race Wraps, LDS. I always forget people. I need a little cheat sheet or something. But thanks to everyone who makes this stuff possible. Hopefully put it on a show for the broadcast there, and clean up some mistakes here, and look forward to next week here. Thank you, Shaggy, for doing the broadcast. FTM for going on this deal with us to keep all this stuff broadcasted. I think it's just the 358s, but yeah, thanks to those guys and all my guys at Venom. Like I said, clean up some mistakes here and go back at it next week.
Well, hey, great attitude and even better run through the field, Trevor. Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Shaggy.
That's your P2 finisher with a great attitude. I'll tell you what, there aren't many drivers who could shake that off and come up there and be a gentleman like that 075 is and was. So hats off to him for, being a graceful loser there. But now we're talking to the man who, boy, oh boy, Dan, you're running around in fourth place, man. You look up and you see a parking lot going down the backstretch. What goes through your head, man?
Hold on. No, definitely didn't, wasn't expecting that. And I didn't even, first off, apologies to getting into it with Anthony coming out of 4. I was running the middle and I thought I was holding it tight coming off, but I guess the S-end was sticking out a little too much and it caught him and it made him lose his right front. So definitely feel bad about that because I think we would have put on a good show in the last couple laps.
Yeah, coming to the white flag, you guys are fighting for real estate. You're trying to get on the gas. Definitely nothing intentional about that. I mean, you can see, dude, you got the wheel cranked. That thing's just floating out. You're racing hard. And at that point, when you see the white flag flying, how much more do you want it? You've led the last 12, 15 laps, you don't want to let it slip away at that point, right?
No, definitely not. And I think this was my first Pro Late Model win ever, I think. Might have to go back and check, but yeah, I was counting them down in my head. I'm like, oh my God, 12, 11, 10. Where's the 2 to go? But no, it was a fun race all around.
Now, hang on here. Let's see. Stats. Now, can I pull up? Marty is so much quicker at this than me, Dan. God dang it. All right, I can get rid of all the seasons. Now. All right, no, we got to scratch that. I wish I could look here. God darn it. I wish I was good at Marty could navigate this. I'd love to know, but hey, man.
Let's just say it was my first win.
Yeah,
we don't have to, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, I'm gonna take your word for it. And Dan, it's an honor, man. You've worked hard in these things, and you're able to make that thing get a little wide at the end. You hold on. Congratulations to the big win. Who you want to thank, bud?
All the boys over at Venom Racing. That was pretty cool finishing 1-2 with Trevor. But everyone over at Venom, you guys for the broadcast, Roger and everyone behind the scenes for the league. Born to Foam spray foam insulation, warming you up 1 inch at a time. Marquee Manufacturings, and JRB Designs.
Well, hey, congratulations, Dan. I'm sure this is the first of many to come, man. Good run tonight, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, Shaggy.
And that's your winner there in the 88, Dan McLaren. And on behalf of everyone at the Coast to Coast Racing Network, I'd like to thank you for tuning in tonight. What a great feature here in the Dirt Track Bank Pro Late Models. But, man, they really had a great night here for Thursday Night Thunder. Big shout out to Extreme eSpeed TV, Venom Racing, Full Throttle Motorsports, Atlantic Management Resources, everyone that, you know, throws money at this thing, keeps the gears greased. Couldn't do it without you guys. And on behalf of all the admins, Roger Craig, I'm Zach Chapman saying so long, have a good evening, and we'll see you back next Monday with Marty Sakala for a little Monday Night Madness.